Hello everybody, it's Sports Guy Ron. I'm here with your mid-season NFL update, kind of looking at the divisions and the conferences, the playoff picture, and how trends are forming so far in the NFL season. The first division we have is the AFC East. We have New England on top, 6-2, Buffalo 5-2, then a pretty big drop off to Miami 2-6, and the Jets 1-7. We do notice that the first column there I have as points for per game. That New England is 8th in the NFL in that, and points allowed per game, they are 4th in the NFL. That leads to the third column, the differential, their total differential in points so far this season, which is a plus 67, which is the third best differential in the NFL. So you can see why New England is leading the division. They're scoring, they're not giving up points, and they're winning by pretty big margins, third in the NFL. Buffalo's a wild card. They're 4th in points per game, 9th in points allowed. Their differential is 61, which is 5th. So you can see there's a real battle forming between them two for the division. New England has the upper hand. They've played one more game, and they won at Buffalo earlier in the season. So we'll see how that plays out. I would say both are pretty likely to make the playoffs. So we'll see about that. But right now, New England's winning the division. Buffalo's a wild card. In the AFC North, we have Pittsburgh on top with a 4-3 record. We have Cincinnati, they are 3-5. We have Baltimore 2-5, Cleveland 2-6. As you can see, this division's a mess. It's hard to imagine more than one team making the playoffs from this division. So while everyone's in it, Cleveland, they do have an easy schedule the next few weeks, easier than what they had before. Winnable games, but also for them, they're not better than that much, marginally better than anyone. So they're also losable games. So we'll have to see. I mean, if they can put together, 3 or 4 wins and get to close to 500, then yeah, maybe they'd be in the mix. But it's hard to see them actually doing that, even though they're playing like the Jets. I think they have a Tennessee game, but nothing's guaranteed with them, so who knows. Baltimore, on the other hand, they have an easier schedule. They have Lamar Jackson coming back. They play Miami on Thursday in Miami, so we'll see how that works out. But they have a chance to get back in it, considering they're only 2 games behind Pittsburgh. You have Cincinnati at 3-5. It was really a crushing loss to lose to the Jets the way they did, or they could have been 4-4 and right behind Pittsburgh. As you can see by the stats, none of the teams are great in offense. None are really that great in defense. None are great in differential. Pittsburgh's a flat 0. That's the best. That's 14th in the NFL. So whoever wins this division, if Baltimore gets hot, if they get healthy, if they fix the defense, but there's lots of ifs there. Pittsburgh, if they could fix their defense, the offense has played reasonably well, tied for 11th so far in points. So, but I don't know. It's amazing how quickly this division seems to have fallen off. So, we'll see. But it doesn't look likely that you're going to get more than one playoff team. In the AFC South, we have the surprising Indianapolis Colts 7-1. We have Jacksonville 4-3, Houston 3-4, Tennessee 1-7. You can tell Indianapolis is the leader in the NFL in points per game. They are 6th best in points against per game, which leads to a 116-point differential in scored and given up, which is first in the NFL. You can see why they're 8-1. Although they have not had the toughest schedule, I would point that out. So it might get tougher from here. So we'll have to see how they do with that. You have Jacksonville second at 4-3. Right now, they're not a wild card. They're close. They're on the edge of it. They've played one less game than the teams that are the wild cards, so they do have that going for them. The stats, though, 25th in scoring and 15th in scoring against. Not really playoff resumes. If anything, Houston at 3-4 has a better looking resume. They might be tied for 19th in scoring. A lot of that, I think, has been injuries to the receivers and such, and some of the defense they've played, but they're number one in points allowed and defensively. Their differential is actually plus 50, which is 9th in the NFL. So by those stats, Houston might be someone who can break through, especially if they've got games against the upper two teams in the division. A wild card could come out of the South. Probably not likely, but it may. So that would be something to keep an eye on. Tennessee's 1-7. They have the 32nd offense, 29th defense, 32nd in differential. Pretty much the stats say they're pretty close to the worst team in the league if they're not the worst. So they're 1-7. They're pretty much out of it. They're a young team that's in spots, hoping to grow. The offense has shown signs of perking up a little bit. The receivers have been making plays. Cam Ward's looked a little better. We'll see how that goes in the second half of the year. In the AFC West, we have Denver leading at 6-2. The Chargers 5-3, Kansas City 5-3, and Las Vegas 2-5. Denver's leading the division. We have the Chargers and Kansas City both as wild cards right now. Kansas City's the hottest team. The stats bear that out. They're 7th in points scored. They're 2nd in points allowed, even though I don't think their defense has played that fantastic. The stats say they have. They're 2nd in points in the NFL. Their differential is 83, a plus 83. That's 2nd in the NFL, only to Indianapolis. So Kansas City looks to be making a move towards the top of the division. So we'll see about that. It's interesting looking at the Chargers. They're 16th in points scored, so right in the middle of the league. They're tied for 11th in defense. They're plus 15 in differential, which is 13th. That's a very middling kind of resume for a playoff team. So we'll have to see if that's kind of injuries caused some of that or some of the matchups. I think they've had a pretty decently difficult schedule. So we'll see how that works out. See if they can continue being, they might be the vulnerable wild card right now. I would say they would be the favorite to be 7th, but they might be caught by someone like Jacksonville or Houston. I guess that's a possibility, but I would say that's about the only possibilities. I don't see anyone else being able to make a run at it. If you move over to the NFC, we have in the East, we have Philadelphia on top 6-2. They have a pretty decent lead over Dallas 3-4-1. Washington's a little bit disappointing at 3-5, and the Giants 2-6. As you can see by the resumes there, Philadelphia 9th in points scored, but tied for 18th in defense points allowed. The differential is 23, which is 11th. Not the greatest resume, but something to build on. Maybe they can do better in the second half of the season. They're not really under that much threat. Dallas is 3-4-1, so they're 2.5 games-ish behind them. It's hard to say if Dallas can actually make a move. They are 2nd in the NFL in points, Dallas, but they're also 2nd to last, 31st in points allowed. Their differential is -4, which is tied for 16th, so right in the middle of the NFL. So they're a middling team, and I just don't expect them to have the defense to play well enough to actually make a push for the playoffs. It's looking like one team out of that. Maybe someone will surprise. Dallas or Washington can come and make a run, but it doesn't look likely, especially with the strength of the West and the North, to be honest. As far as the North goes, Green Bay's leading 5-1-1. They're tied for 5th in points. They're 10th in defensive points given up. Their 43 differential is 10th best in the NFL. So, it's a pretty good resume for them. Detroit's 5-2, just a half game behind them. They're 3rd in points, tied for 11th in defense points allowed. Their 64-point differential is 4th. So they've been a little more dominant. Let's say maybe that they might be able to pass Green Bay. A lot's going to hinge on the game in Detroit on Thanksgiving, so we'll have to see about that. Not to overlook Chicago, who's 4-3 behind them. They can make a push for a wild card that Detroit holds right now. But the stats say they're 15th in points scored, 25th in points allowed. Their differential is minus 19, which is 21st. Not really a resume of a playoff team unless they can turn it on in the second half. Same goes for Minnesota, 3-4. They have lots of questions at quarterback. Unless they get them straightened out, I don't think they can make a run. If J.J. McCarthy can come back and play well, perhaps that's a possibility. In the NFC South, we have Tampa Bay with a 2-game lead. They're 6-2. Their resume is kind of middle, which is surprising considering they've won 6 games. But we got to remember, a lot of those games were close, last-second victories. They've had a lot of injuries, so they're 14th in points scored, 16th in points against, and 12th in the NFL in the differential, which is plus 19, which is a positive. So, I mean, that's good for them. That shows they're a good team, you know. So, Carolina's 4-4, but their stats say they're not a very good team. 27th in points for, 20th in points allowed per game, 24th in differential of minus 38. Those aren't really great stats. Same thing goes for Atlanta, who's 28th in points scored. They are tied for 13th in defense, 22nd in differential in the NFL. And New Orleans, they're just bad like Tennessee. So they're pretty much out of it. It looks like just one team out of the South, to be honest. Carolina, Atlanta could surprise. Maybe with the West teams beating up on each other that somebody could sneak in if they got hot. I don't think that's likely. The NFC West, it's the West's ruling in the NFL right now. The AFC West, 3 playoff teams. The NFC West, also 3 playoff teams. Seattle's leading 6-2. The Rams are also 6-2. San Francisco's 5-3. Arizona's 2-5. So Seattle's resume, they're tied for 5th in points per game. They're 7th in points against per game. That's the top 10 in both. That's a good resume. They're 7th in differential. That's a really good resume. Same thing with the Rams. They're tied for 11th in points for. They're 3rd in defense and 6th in differential. Those are 2 really good teams. San Francisco's a little more of an enigma. A lot of that might be injury related. 26th in offense is not something you usually see from a playoff team, especially these days. Even though they are 8th in points against, their differential's in the middle, -4, tied with Dallas at 16th. So Arizona, surprisingly, they're in the middle in offense, tied for 19th and tied for 13th on defense. Their differential is -1, which is actually better than San Francisco's. But they're just not making enough of the plays. And I think if they go back to Kyler Murray, he's actually played a little bit worse than Brissett has. So I don't know how they're going to make up that ground in this tough division. So it's interesting to see the battle here, I think, is Seattle and the Rams for the division, and San Francisco holding on to the last wild card, perhaps with maybe some competition from Chicago, Carolina, maybe Atlanta, maybe Minnesota. So we'll see how that works out. But that's a look at the NFL so far around the halfway point. Some teams have played 8 games. Some teams have played, 7. It's kind of all over the place. So, so that's a look. And I hope you liked this video and gave you some information. If you do, give it a like. I'd appreciate it. I would love if you subscribe to my channel. I'm going to have more videos coming out this week, especially the Week 9 preview coming up. And I hope you all have a good day.